Right.
Real quick, I'm going to call this meeting to the Douglas Historical Commission.
I didn't know if we should yet, because it's like we're
Oh,
not
you-
following the agenda just
Oh,
yet.
okay, you don't want to do it yet, okay. I wasn't sure how we were doing
Because
it.
we're talking about CPA.
Yeah, I didn't know
no.
if that went under,
No.
if that was going to be part of,
But I think it just shows how much you do have to get a lot of accessible information
Correct.
public
and here's the
ahead of
thing.
time.
But you have to have people who are actually knowledgeable and who have taken the time to
Yeah.
learn this information, because I feel like there were several members of the board that
Well, I do know,
didn't know anything,
well,
Okay.
I do
even
know-
at the meeting.
Yeah,
Well,
the meeting
I was-
was a disaster.
I do know, like, they
I was there.
they start talking about, like, pickleball courts and this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
People are like,
Right.
you know, you probably could have gotten people if you're like, we can help make the library
you
handicap
go.
accessible.
Yeah.
Right.
Or make the senior center,
Yeah.
like, there were other parts of town that people already care about that they
Yeah.
could have
Yeah.
hit, that they went off on completely different tangents
Yeah.
that worked against them.
Yeah, that's for sure. And, they didn't have the backing of, I was in attendance here at the finance committee meeting. It's like, oh, God, this is just awful. So, and that's pretty much how it played out. The rest of the way was like,
There
it's
was
hard when
just
you're
a-
up against the tide, you're not going
Right, but
to
there was
float.
just there was a
Right.
lack of
Yep.
knowledge and a lack of information. It's
Yeah.
really what it came
Yeah,
down
and-
to. And there
But
was
it
a
also
big.
sounds like they didn't
it
know what
was
they
like-
wanted their message to be.
We fundraise, it was like when we should have been giving information, we were fundraising.
Mm-hmm.
And then all the information came out a week before the vote when no one had time to ask
No.
questions or like absorb
No.
anything or read
Because
through
it's
that
a-
website.
And because and the other side of that, it's a financial impact to people. Even though it's only 1.5%, it's still a financial impact. And
Yeah.
so, because of that, and this not being, it's a different dynamic in that regard. So, yeah,
But we're gonna come up across a completely different issue. We're gonna come up across the people thinking that this plan
Restricts them.
is restricting them.
right.
Yeah.
Yep,
So we're gonna have our very own
yep.
huge roadblock.
Well, we should probably open the meeting.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that.
Now we're on to real-
Right.
So I'm gonna call this meeting of the Douglas Historical Commission to order on November 22nd at 9:13. This meeting is taking place at the Resource Room at the Douglas Municipal Center. Roll call, Rebecca Doyen LaValle.
Dawn Fontaine.
Christy Turgeon?
Sarah Guyman.
Scott Garland.
All right. So Dawn provided us with an agenda for today's meeting. It is to approve the minutes of the October 9th meeting.
Does anyone need them?
We'll take a look at them. I'm sure you emailed them to me.
Yes.
Discuss the Soldiers Field commemorative plaque for the Red Sox-Yankees game. The BFCC threatened properties. Then the MHC content, there are 3 workshops. Then we need to, the big reason for the meeting is the next steps for members to complete tasks for submission to Historic District to the MHC and Division of Duties. Form A inventory, citation spreadsheet, task spreadsheet, historical narrative, description of properties, photographs, which we're going to hold until we've done the historical narrative and the architectural descriptions, and then how we want to handle feedback with the MHC. Does anybody have any problems with the agenda? All right, does somebody want to move to approve it?
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed. All right, and then Dawn's also provided us with the minutes from the October 9th meeting. Everybody's had a chance to review them. Any problems, questions, comments?
None here.
I just made the one comment regarding marking the absent
Yeah, so
members.
I'll make that amendment and repost it.
Perfect. So, motion to approve the meeting minutes from October 9th?
Seconded.
Make a motion to approve October 9th.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the October.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're good.
I thought you were making the motion.
I can't make the motion. All right. So let's start with, sorry, wrong page. Soldiers Field and the commemorative plaque.
Yeah, so we don't want to forget that, like, we had kind of left it to the end.
Well, I was looking at, I was going around trying to find, and I got to tell you, I was looking at the more different materials. And the biggest thing I found is that there's some great ones out there, but the UVs really do a lot of damage on anything that's not metal over the years. So you're going to get a third of the lifetime of the plaque, maybe much less than that, because that's the only thing I did find. And every place I went, it was like, hey, yeah, you could read part of it. You're going to have to really find a good manufacturer, and I didn't come across anything that I was happy with.
Well, I can tell you from manning the historical cultural table at the open house for the master plan, people are very interested in the baseball aspect and would really like to have that history somewhere at the ball field.
Okay.
I'm wondering, the ones you were looking at, were they all flat down?
No,
You were looking at ones that were up as well?
no, they were angled.
Okay, because what I'm wondering is if we used the announcing booth concession stand, if they have a wall that doesn't get as much weather, would it fade as quickly? And even if that, is there a way we could put a little like awning over it?
So what I found is, so there's the UV issue, but there's also, people like to mar things, and
Yeah.
when it's a composition or plastic or some type of material, that it's almost impossible to find a material that's not going to
Right.
mar up. And so one after another, they were like, or people put stickers on them.
Yeah.
Vote for so-and-so.
Right.
That's the only thing I found was like, it's vandalism.
Yeah.
But,
I wish there was,
And then there's also the thing of, like, the fact that it's a ball field and balls can go errant and get,
well, that's why.
yeah,
get
well, like the
into it,
back side would be a
depending
good idea.
where it is,
A
yeah.
protected side would be good.
Well, and I guess, while the plaque is cool because it commemorates it, it doesn't give a ton of information.
It doesn't tell the history
And-
in like an interesting way.
Yeah, and that's kind of like,
I do like that idea much better.
Than metal.
Yeah, you can put an image on it, and then you can
Right.
put a description. You can put 2 images on it, a smaller
Yeah.
one and a
and I
larger
mean,
one.
and if we've actually got a wall on the concession stand, we could do a pretty decent sized board that really could tell,
Yeah.
like, the field started in 1913, 1925, it welcomed the Mill Leagues.
So what I thought, kind of my conclusion was, if you do a composition, there's got to be a company that it's almost like layered, so that there's an outer vandal layer that you can remove and then just replace it.
Almost
So-
like a shadow box
Yeah.
type of,
Right, so once they vandalize or put so many stickers on it or whatever, and they're not removable
And you
anymore,
remove that outer.
you just remove the outer and you still have the
I think,
clean
because
inner.
something you could also consider, and you'd have to talk to the company, is whatever the main thing is made out of, you could then always just put up plexiglass.
Correct, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Just
Yeah.
do that.
Something to protect the
That
actual-
can be easily changed out without costing a
Correct.
fortune.
That's right.
So I think we're probably getting into that, because we really wanted to get can't think of the name, the recreation committee involved, right? But now we're getting, I think, also into that. Are we still in the season, or are we getting out of their season where they're active?
They're pretty,
Baseball? Or the
I'm just
recreation?
saying that-
For them meeting, they don't meet like regularly,
Yeah.
but, I think if they had anything to discuss,
Yeah.
they might
so I
be
have
able
a
to post a meeting.
misunderstanding. At the finance committee meeting, there was one of the members was sitting here. He was referred to as the only member of the recreation committee.
Maybe he was the only member present.
Yeah.
Because they're a committee of, I want to say 4 or 5 people.
Okay.
I think they have to, they have to be, or they become defunct, because they wouldn't have.
Yeah, no, they do have several members,
Okay,
because
so-
last time they were in a meeting, they had at least 4 or 5 people, from what I recall. Yeah,
So maybe what we should do.
but he was probably the only member present, maybe,
Yeah.
from that
Yeah.
committee.
Okay.
What are they under? Are they under?
Yeah, they're not on, they're under, oh, they are
So there's two things that we should figure out. One is like approximate cost, and then the other one is partnership, I'll say, with the Recreation Committee.
Yeah. The time I went to talk to them about it, they seemed very willing to, try to help us out and
Yeah.
contribute.
Open space?
I think
It's
I
not
was there
open
with you,
space.
right? I
They're
went to
not
that
under
meeting
open
with you.
space?
No. Nope, they're
No, they're
Recreation
not.
Commission.
I was,
I'm not sure where they are on the website. The website always confuses me because I don't know. Yeah.
I don't actually think they're
It's
on-
not very user-friendly.
Search on-
Sorry to whoever designed the new town website, but it's not all that user-friendly. I use it a lot, and I'm always like, where is this? How do I
Yeah.
Oh,
find
I'm
that?
on it all the time.
You are,
But
I
I
don't
know,
go on it much because I try to.
but I know like some of them are buried within other.
Yeah,
ones.
right, it is,
Like the
like, it's
master
like almost
plan
like
is-
under another menu,
Yeah,
yeah.
like the
it's-
master plan's actually, it's under one, even though it's also involved in another. I learned that when I was searching, so. And then if we figure out, something else I can do, if we figure out a time or something to have a meeting between the two groups, I can also do some preliminary research and just kind of be like, this is the stuff we want to highlight, which will give us an idea of what we
Well, we
would.
did have the write-up, I forget
Yeah,
if you wrote it, but we can start with that.
But I mean, like a full timeline of the history of Soldiers Field.
Yeah. So,
Because I think we'd want to include, like, when Sarah did it, we were thinking of doing, that was when we were
right.
talking about.
We were focused on
The
like
smaller
the
metal
game
sign, yeah.
because it was, the most major historical thing that happened there,
Yeah.
so.
But like I said, I unfortunately, the game ends up making it so a lot of the history of Douglas and baseball gets missed because everybody thinks about the game.
yeah.
They miss a lot of the other history, which I would like to make sure that we highlight on the plaque as well.
Right, right. Okay, so, I don't know, maybe, I don't know if we want to assign later, or someone wants to pick something up. So the one
Okay.
is like researching vendors and cost.
so I will do that.
Okay, thank you. And then the other is getting,
History of baseball, and that's me.
okay. Baseball.
I mean, I already know like 4 different places where I can easily go and pull them.
good.
The history of everything.
I know nothing about baseball. And then, Sarah, would you mind looking to see when the next meeting is, or?
For rec commission?
Yeah.
I'll reach out to them and
Or
see.
just
Yeah, because
see-
I'm not sure, I don't think they have one posted that I know of, but
Yeah.
I'll
So
reach
you-
out to them
so
and
you
find
basically
out.
already went in as a guest, whatever we call that, and like in their meeting and talked about that, and they were open to it. So I
Right.
guess this is sort of the follow-up and saying, okay, we really.
Yeah,
wanna
so
do
we
this,
can
this is
have
what
like,
we suggest, this
so
is
I
what
should
we
ask
discuss.
maybe for like a joint meeting between us to
I would say
discuss it?
joint meeting, more like we're a guest at their meeting. I forget what you
okay.
call it, like get on the agenda. Get on the
Okay,
agenda.
because if we have a certain number of our members, we would have to post it as a meeting of both of us, you know what I mean, to have a discussion.
Okay.
Because if you have a quorum, you have to post it as a meeting.
Okay.
So unless it was just going to be 2 of us, but I feel like maybe it would be better if it was the whole board.
Yeah.
So
what-
maybe we can do a joint.
Can all of us, I don't know if they're having meetings or not, but if they say they are, can all of us go and that's still considered getting on their agenda?
If we post the meeting as like a meeting for us and a meeting for them, like a joint meeting, we can do that. But
Okay.
if we just are going to their meeting as a guest, we would have to have less than a quorum for our board.
Okay.
So if we all want
So
to talk
only
to them,
2
it
of us
should be a
could go.
joint meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd rather do a joint meeting. I
I would rather do a joint meeting
Yeah.
too.
So I'll ask them, and then we can, like, just coordinate whoever's available,
Yeah, 'cause we're all-
find out when they're available and when we're available.
Yeah, because we don't meet regularly.
Yeah.
So then,
Yeah, I'll reach out to the chairman, and I can find out if we can get a joint meeting together.
okay.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
Any more things
Yeah.
on the Red Sox
Check that
Yankees?
one
All right. The BFCC threatened properties, that was the grammar school, the center school, and the fire station.
I don't have any updates on that. I think-
2 prospective buyers for the grammar school.
Really?
Don't know much else about them. From what this is all coming from people, nothing official, but from what I've heard, 2 prospective buyers, but they aren't really disclosing much information at this time.
So that piece of land that goes with it, that did pass at town meeting, is that right? I'm pretty sure it
I
did.
don't think it did, because
It
they
didn't?
combined, I don't know if it did or not. I know they combined 2 of them, didn't they? Is that the one they combined?
I thought that was Rydell Road.
I thought,
Yeah.
well, no, I thought they combined
I thought the
Rydell
thing
Road
about the-
and Gleason. I thought they
I
combined.
thought the
them.
thing about the school had passed. I was pretty sure it did, but maybe I'm wrong, so I might have to rewatch what I filmed.
I know there's, yeah, there.
Is there a way to find that out, if that
I-
part?
Well, it's got to be recorded somewhere on the town site,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
I would
but
think
also,
so.
I guess, well, I guess the video. is fine.
Dennis Bishop does a really decent job on one of the pages of.
Yeah, that's where I was looking at his
You're
post.
going, you had the
Yeah.
same thought process I did.
Yeah.
Becky, as an aside, the newsletter said that you're going to start doing like what's happening in town as part of the library newsletter?
Yes, nope, separate from the library
Separate.
newsletter. Yep, it's going to be its very own newsletter, separate from the libraries.
Okay,
So it's going to have basically like town agenda, so all of the town meetings.
nice.
It's going to also have events that are being held at the Historical Society, the Orchard, if churches have any types of events, basically events that are going on
Yeah.
around town. Debating on whether or not to include sports schedules, because that could get it's a monthly.
Changing.
Yeah.
And it's also monthly, so that could like fill up the schedule without
Yeah.
even blinking, but maybe link to the sports schedule, something like that.
Yeah, like,
Then I was also going to include like important town dates, like if there's voting, if there's a meeting, like.
That's
And then I was thinking, we're going back and forth in this because it is coming from the library, so we have to be careful about how political we come across. We're in a good position right now, and we don't want to
so
ruffle.
it goes through the library's database, whatever, people
Yeah.
subscribe, but it's a separate newsletter.
Yep, and then we can have other people who don't want anything to do with the library newsletter subscribe to this newsletter. But like, let's say something like the CPA came up. That could be like, CPA, here's what it is.
Factual.
Just facts, no bias, no opinions, just like boom, boom, boom. Very,
Yeah,
and if you want more information, go here or
Yeah.
contact this person.
Yeah.
Master plan's going, I believe they're keeping the surveys open until the end of January. So the first newsletter, master plan will be one of the first things. If you haven't taken the survey, go here to take, like, once again, just very factual. And that's
Yeah.
kind of what we're thinking. I said,
That's great.
it's gonna be that fine line of getting information out there, but not being political.
right.
And I also want to do like a community highlight, like the way the Common had done the scarecrows. Like highlight that, that was a community thing. So if there's
Yeah.
any community things going
So then
on.
that could be like your photo or like. the
Yeah,
visual
for like the month, I would highlight a community aspect.
Yeah, nice.
I love it.
Yeah. That's really cool.
The other 2 articles passed eminent, okay, so the other 2 articles in this first passed eminent domain acquisition on Rydell Road along with Gleason Court. It would pass by 2/3 standing vote, 64 for, 22 against. So it passed.
Is Gleason Court like where that vet is?
That's where that's where the old grammar
Yeah.
school is. That's,
Oh, they're like not even touching each other.
Yeah, that's weird.
oh, no. So Rydell Road, I believe, is what they want to use for the highway department.
I just don't understand why you would combine the two when they're not adjacent or have anything to do with each other.
I don't know why they combined the 2 in a vote.
It's like,
Right.
what if you
Yeah.
were opposed to one and
Right,
the other one?
yeah, that's a
Well,
good point.
And I think that was a lot of it.
Yeah. That just seems kind
Yeah.
of
And
strange.
Gleason Court is the grammar school, and it's a parcel of land, I believe, that's across, like, across the road going up to the primary school.
Yeah.
Which they would use
Okay.
for parking.
Right.
That's the lot that they were talking about.
Oh, parking some of the DPW vehicles. No?
No.
No.
Rydell Road's Highway Department.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gleason Road is the old grammar school, so
Right.
they're looking to parcel off a part of town property to include it with the grammar school.
Yeah.
So when they sell the grammar school,
Oh,
they
they
can
have
sell
Yeah,
their
it's to
parking.
make it a more attractive deal,
Right.
like, for whoever's buying the
I
grammar
get it, but
school.
I guess I was
'cause- Yeah.
just, okay.
Well, like I said, the fact that
It's
they can.
confusing because they put the two articles together
Yeah.
and they didn't have anything to do with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
And it is like, it's,
So the issue with the not contract, potential buyer is the parking for people that would live there.
because I believe they're looking
Yeah.
to do senior housing, is there, that's what I heard last, was it was looking to be senior housing.
Yeah. So that is the issue, is that
I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
concerned about no,
Especially with the senior center being right behind there.
Yeah.
It's downtown, so it's center of everything.
Yeah.
yep.
I like-
Yeah, no, it's always the thing with how many kids are going to be in the schools, right? So then it would eliminate that.
I also learned that apparently the schools are under-enrolled.
Really?
Yep.
Interesting.
How so?
Are they going, they're choicing out?
School choice or BVT or that kind of
Oh.
stuff. Schools are actually under-enrolled right now.
Huh,
Wow.
which is kind of a good thing, right?
Yep. Like I said, I'm learning a lot at the master plan.
Yeah, sorry, I missed that meeting. Do you notice there was so many meetings, like, right, they were like between us and then they were like master plan, CPA.
Right,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
there was quite a few.
So when I was manning the table at that, grammar school was something that kept coming up. People were like, well, what's happening with this old building? Center school. So something I realized, and I'm not sure why, very much stuff is centered downtown. People aren't looking like
Everywhere else.
Like they're not looking center school. They're not even thinking of Cottage Street with the old firehouse. I don't know if that's because it's not visible.
Yeah.
Right, it's a little out of the way.
Nobody
But-
drives by it every day, dropping their kids off.
But yeah, so like I said, grammar school was the big one. Center school did come up a little bit. One of the things people are really looking for is recreation in town, and I still think center school with the soccer fields behind it
Yeah.
could be a location. You would just have to figure out some kind of busing situation.
Yeah.
But you could always have a bus at the school go to the recreation center after school.
Right.
But
I think that would be us.
That's my, that's
Like-
my initial thought on it, is like, it should be, but I always get thrown back when I discuss it, in the community, like, well, we don't even come back to, we don't even have an active recreation board. I'm like, if they had a center,
Maybe we would.
maybe we would,
Right.
and you could manage, I mean, I guess it's another building to, bring up, another building to heat, another building to maintain,
But if
separate
it's-
location,
if
but
it's
you
to-
still need them.
yeah.
And to me, this town has a very active
Yeah,
recreational,
like the sports and everything.
the sports are busy, and
Yeah.
it's a fairly good-sized town. It's not, we're not Ocam, we're not some small town trying to do it.
Yeah.
We're, our population should support.
I think it
Center.
would be awesome.
And like I
Right.
said, what's the nice about the center school, it's got 2 big rooms, one on each
Correct.
side.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're trying to do stuff in little rooms or having to knock down, no,
No,
you
you
just
got 2 good rooms with a common, kitchen in the middle, whatever you want to do.
Kitchenette, I think is what
But
it's.
still, you need that, I just think and it's small, it's a small footprint. I think the whole issue with the water, it's simply the water's coming off the roof and it's not going out away from the building. It's going right down into the foundation.
But I've been, from almost day one, I've always said I thought that would be a good rec center, just because of
Yeah.
the-
Center, youth center
just
type.
because of the layout of the layout of the building.
Right, and like she said, combined youth center.
Yeah, it's
know.
got a, like I said, and you just bus them there instead
Yeah.
of busing them home.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's,
Yeah, or kids can walk and ride their bikes like we used to when I was.
Yeah, the problem is 16's dangerous.
I know.
Or they could build a sidewalk.
Like, once you go down GBI and you go up through that valley, that's a very dangerous.
it has a sidewalk, it's just,
It doesn't have sidewalks
does-
the full way.
Yeah, I don't think it goes all.
it stops at the cemetery, but it goes down, well, it only goes to, I guess, to the store, really, when it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
No,
goes,
wait, it doesn't stop at the cemetery.
no, it starts at the
Goes to the
cemetery
common.
and it goes to
The common.
basically, yes, the
Yeah.
cemetery common.
South Street.
Yeah, and it goes basically to the ice
Right,
cream lady.
Southeast.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
then there's nothing until you hit Franklin Street.
You know what we need of those bikes that you like they have them in the cities, right? The bikes that you pick up one.
Oh,
spot,
yeah,
drop off
right? Yeah, those are neat.
on the sidewalk.
But again, I'm looking at more like it's a center. You're not going to go there to do a sport. You may have like recreational related or activity related events or meetings there, right? Arts and crafts, whatever it might be, you would have there. We know that space is a premium in this town. We have to battle over finding a room,
Right.
right? And a day available because there's a lot going on. So I see positive about it. I think that time is of the essence to do something with that poor building and before it goes another
agree.
winter and another winter.
Yeah.
So, Melissa, what do we do about that? Like, do we try to get that one up, like moved up on the?
I would try to get the
priority list?
recreation board on board,
And I mean,
Okay.
Another-
we
Why don't we
already,
do that part of that same meeting?
you know?
we already know the BFCC wanted to tear, that was one of the buildings they wanted to tear, they were set to tear it down
Yeah.
until I found that it was on the register.
Yeah.
And I kind of put a
Yeah.
little bit of, but they were ready to go after that building.
Yeah.
Does it have structural issues, or is it just
I don't think that's
water
structural.
issues?
I don't think it's
and,
structural, it got absolutely stripped inside.
Right, I remember that.
It got absolutely
Yeah,
stripped,
it's
and I,
got-
For the
it's got-
metal.
It's got water
Copper.
issues, dampness issues because of the lack of gutters and drainage.
Right.
Getting the water away from the building. When it comes off the roof, it sits right down, goes in
Yeah.
the granite foundation. So, yeah, but that can be remediated.
That's a lot
I mean-
smaller than structural or anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it will be structural
very
eventually.
soon, yeah.
And what my suggestions at a previous meeting was, can we at least find something, some way to either, encapsulate the roof or something, or,
Yeah, I remember you saying
yeah, is there any way to just like a temporary,
something.
I mean, they took the porch down, the railings around the,
yeah.
Yeah,
they took the upper porch,
Right.
they took that down not long ago.
Yeah,
See, for me, I drive by it every day.
I do too.
So,
I have a lot of people tell me, I don't know what that is. I'm like, it's right by the cemetery. They-
so when I was a kid, it was the VFW.
Yeah,
And before that, it was the center school.
right.
And then when the VFW moved out, there was nothing there. Like, there was nothing to distinguish it until one of the kids made it a project to do the sign for Veterans Field. And that's the only way that thing is even distinguishable at all.
So, there was still a little bit of a parking issue there though, right? Or is there enough
Well,
room
so,
behind where
and
you're trying to do that?
so we own the little red house there, okay? It's a small lot, but I know it has,
The red house or the brown house?
The brownish house.
well,
it
brownish
goes
red.
back and forth. Some people call it red, some people call it
To the
brown.
right, between the cemetery.
You're looking at-
We know the one, yeah.
So, I mean, my thing is like, well, recreation, we need a dog park. We need, it's like.
That's actually something
And
that
then
came up
you
master
could have,
plan.
you could at least, and I think they're thinking cemetery lots, is what they're probably thinking in taking it, because you never have enough cemetery room, but, you could make single straight-in parking and probably park 12 cars there.
Right.
The problem with that, if I recall from the walkthrough Adam did, that building is going to cost a fortune to take
Yep,
down.
because it's got asbestos.
Yep.
Well,
Yep.
Yes, but that's stuff you.
But
write
either,
grants
either way, they're eventually going to have to take it down.
And
I mean,
honestly,
or it's
Gotta
going to
come
fall
down,
down, but you're going
so-
to, you're going to do the
my
asbestos
concern
cleanup
is
either
if they
way.
don't
It is what it is,
If
yeah.
they, well, no, I'm just saying that that's something that they're always,
Let's put it this way,
My concern
the
if they-
town chose to accept it, take it off the tax.
Mm-hmm.
Then you don't just do half the job. If you're going to accept it, you're accepting what you accept,
Yeah.
okay?
Right.
It's there. You
Yeah.
own it,
Right.
remediate it, gone, I'm
So
sorry,
I think we
it's a
should-
nut
What
that
we
you
should
have to
probably do is try to
swallow.
grab it.
Right, right, it is.
You bought it.
As part
Yep,
of
I
the
agree.
Before it becomes
cemetery.
cemetery.
And I think, you know, as far as cemetery goes, I know the town is growing, but there is still a lot of lots available in Douglas Center. It's not like we're
It's not
running out
dire
of room
yet.
right now.
So,
It's
like,
not,
let's do
you
something
know.
I just think function, recreation.
Right.
Dogs, park is recreation, it is.
I think they kind
Come under
of,
that.
at the time they took that building, I think they were thinking it was because it was between the cemetery and the other town property. So
Sure.
they thought, well,
Yeah.
we're just going to complete our piece.
yeah.
And I think they probably maybe had in mind to add to the cemetery eventually. But like I said,
Yeah.
right now, where it is, where it stands, like, we're not.
Does anyone know what's behind
Desperate
all
for
of that?
space.
Because I remember going to that soccer field, and it's so tiny, but it looks like there's a lot of woods behind
I
it.
think, I'm trying to think,
There is an owner,
I'm trying to think, was that the old,
Which we're getting a little bit into other committees'
the
areas.
granite quarry,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking.
as I
For some reason,
understand.
I'm thinking it was the old granite quarry.
Yeah,
Oh, really? Oh, no kidding. I did not know we had one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might have to go for a walk back there.
I didn't even know the soccer fields were back there till my son played soccer.
Yeah,
like,
right?
four
Yeah,
years
I
ago.
think I didn't. until-
Can I tell you, so before they put up the sign, people would always come up my street and they'd be like, hi, we're trying to get to the soccer field. And it's like, oh, you're nowhere close. It's like, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do this. If you hit the ice cream lady,
maps ready, like.
if you hit the ice cream lady, you've gone too far.
yeah.
So the town took that over in 2015.
Wow.
Yep, sounds about right.
2015, they took that brown red house over?
That's when the grantor took place.
Okay.
Now, if you think about
How big is it? How large is the lot?
It's the lot, hold on, sorry, bear with me. That's a house, where's the lot? It's only 0.59 acres.
Half an acre.
If you think about it though,
Right?
It's a decent
0.59,
amount
that's
of,
0.6, that's
For
almost
parking,
two-thirds
yeah.
of it.
if you think about it,
bigger than my house.
2015
Yard.
was right, right before the 20, that wasn't far off from the 2018 where town
We're
almost
all a
shut
little
down.
cramped in downtown.
Yeah, right, so nothing was gonna happen.
Nothing, when they bought that property, town money was running out.
Did they buy it or they take it?
I thought they bought it.
Involved Gov, sale price 70,000.
Okay.
I think they did buy it because I thought it was for sale and I don't remember them doing a taking on it. but-
Okay. Interesting. Well, 0.6 is almost two-thirds of an acre, so
Yeah.
it's, it's big enough to do something.
Well, like I said, when the town bought it, they did not have the money to do anything with it.
Right,
It was bought because they didn't want to lose it.
right. Because it was between stuff they already owned.
So when we talked before about, asbestos remediation, and the disposal part is not the expensive part, because the state has, the state wants the stuff disposed of, so they make it pretty easy.
Oh,
But it's the labor involved
Yeah,
in
the work
in
and the,
dismantling, because you have to handle it,
But
bag it, and stuff like that.
the other big concern though is heaven forbid, should a fire or anything happen, we're going to be in that. We're going to be a lot worse than
Yeah.
that becomes dangerous as opposed to just a
No,
hazard.
They just let it
Right.
burn. It's just,
But it's what it's putting into the air.
yeah,
that would be
it's a
bad.
small house.
Knock on wood, that won't happen,
So do we
hopefully.
think, maybe what we do, sorry if I keep coughing, try to do that joint meeting and then see what their,
ideas are.
yeah, if they're welcome, open to that becoming some kind of recreation center, and they might say, oh, we've been looking
Yeah, let's
for
at
X
least get
and Y.
let's at least
Sure.
get the discussion going.
Okay.
And maybe What's the opinion of the Board of Selectmen on that little house? What do they want? Do they just go blinders to it, or is it a concern at all?
I don't know. I don't
You know, is there any discussion amongst them about wanting something done, moved forward, or?
Maybe
So-
if we do that joint meeting, we invite somebody from the BFCC
I was thinking,
to come in, because I mean, they're the ones that are handling that building. They're the ones that have done the walkthroughs and
Well,
that.
the other thing would
invite
be,
them.
you know, get the opinion of the public safety,
Yeah.
the police and fire, who would have to deal with
I mean, we could always,
either vandals going in there and then have to go in after them, and you know, there's a big red X on the building, which means.
Right,
into
and
this building,
the roof
you know,
is
or-
like going on that.
Or-
It's got tarps all over
I
it.
think Adam would be
and
able to give us both as building and, isn't he on
Yeah.
fire?
Maybe just reach out to him and see, like, if he knows what the
Yeah.
current feel is on
Adam
that.
Right.
Adam
you
might be
know?
like the
Okay.
best person to start with, because
Right, because I don't know, like, what kind of hurry they're in to take care of demoing that, or if it's just something that's going to sit, you know?
Well, I think it should be.
I don't know
part of
where on the
of a
priority
plan
list
Overall, like,
that would
okay, we're
be.
going to demo this for this purpose.
Right, right.
Agreed.
right, right.
but I mean, John was first and now it's Adam, both fire as well as building facilities,
Yeah.
so they'll both have, they'd both
They
be.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Both of them would have an
I'm sure he would
idea.
have an idea, right?
Okay. Do you want me to check with Adam? I don't really met him, but I don't know. I'll sure.
I mean, I can also, do you want me to poke him? I don't mind. I can
Yeah,
send-
sure.
I'll send him an email.
And again, it needs to be presented as a project that includes the center school.
Right.
Because otherwise, why are we interested in the Little Red House
Right, right.
in a dog park?
Exactly. But I guess, so like, I'm just saying, like, taking our steps, like, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, first, what's the story with that? So that's Adam. And then we have our joint meeting, see if they're interested in the cooperation on a Parks and Rec or whatever you want to call it.
I
And,
said, I feel like if we're gonna bring the center school in, we also do need to have somebody from Building and Facilities
Yeah.
Committee.
Yeah.
Just, they're the ones that have done the walkthroughs.
Yeah, so
They're the
let's-
ones that have say
Yep,
in
agreed.
that.
I think probably.
Yeah.
And then, so we'll get a date first and then invite them.
Just choose the person who didn't choose to tear it down. On the committee.
Okay.
All right, so I think that takes care of the.
We're good
threatened
on
properties, right?
Those, all right. All right. Do you real quick want to just talk about the workshops from the MHCC?
Yeah, the,
MHC, sorry.
MHC.
I've got too many Cs.
I know, so there were 3 meetings. One was just like Tuesday or Monday this week, and I forwarded you guys the information on that, so that one's in my head most of all, but they were really good meetings. I don't have the list of what they were
Hold on.
for me, but basically it was like identifying the buildings, deciding which ones are worth saving kind of stuff, and the one this week was, the exact title.
Determining historic and architectural significance.
Yeah, so the thing about that was, so we're doing a national registered district, right? So what they wanted to know is this building significant to the nation, right? And so, like, you could look at a bunch of buildings in Douglas and be like, who cares, right? But what our narrative is that it's important to, like, the Industrial Revolution and the mills in the area and the history of that. And there was a lot of really interesting topics and anecdotes if you listen to the video too, and some questions at the end, because it was like, I don't know, some buildings that you look at really quickly, like, what's the importance of that one? Well, Prince grew up there, you know, it has a significance like that. We don't have anything like that I know of, but, and then something else that's pretty cool might not be as special because it's been, you know, remodeled too much or certain things happen to it. But, so there were like 4 or 5 categories that they put them in, and, you know, it was pretty clear where we're going with ours, that it was for that larger mill town story. So then as we go through, we basically want to, like, does it tell our narrative? Does it help to talk about, like, the mill building? I know we have a lot of buildings where people lived, so, you know, anything that contributes to that narrative more is what we want to
Well, yep.
have it be a part of. And I don't know, one of the earlier meetings too was like asking what the appetite in town was for preservation, which is going to be our thing to kind of counteract. But one thing that came up, someone quoted the stat, and it's a little bit abstract, but when people put money into some kind of historical stuff, it brings tourist dollars. Now, I don't exactly like,
Sorry.
Let's go to
hotel and
Douglas.
everything. But you know what I mean? Then it becomes like, that maybe that could be our narrative about the funds that will inevitably need to be, used for this. Is like, we get some signs as part of it, becomes more of a, a quaint town, and it's quaint anyway, but it's like just tells that narrative a little bit more.
Well, the Blackstone Valley Heritage Corridor, that's got to be the most significant portion of it. We're part of that industrial
Right.
revolution, the canal system, how the communities contributed. Douglas making axes. Douglas was a huge timber town back in the late 1700s, early 1800s.
A lot of cedar mills.
And then the development, Schuster, but all that dynamic of the type of housing. So I think if you just work off of, and I think we've already done that, but the National Corridor
Yeah.
foundation,
Really.
because when you drive from out of state, you're going to see the signs, and it have a center, Center is in Uxbridge. And so it does attract people. There's no doubt about it. And you're just part of that attraction. Upton's
Right.
the hat industry, Hopedale's the commune, community. So, ours is axe making,
Right.
Interwoven.
timber, interwoven as part of it. And there's only 13 of us, I think. Isn't there 13 towns
Towns in that Blackstone Valley corridor.
of the corridor? But we're one of those. So as part of that, we've got an advantage over many towns
Yeah, that's a
that
good
don't
point
have
to bring
that.
that up.
Yeah.
I think we're one of,
What's the center in Uxbridge? Is that the one in, I don't know what you're.
on Hartford Avenue,
Is that
near
one
the
after you go under
restroom.
the bridge?
Under the bridge? No, it's at West, near
Like you go by the,
West Hill Dam.
like you go by the bank, and then you go under the bridge where like they have.
Oh, no. No, that's the spillway there, yeah, Farnham and all that. No, Hartford Avenue West, you come to the intersection of West River Street, and then just beyond that is West Hill Dam.
Yeah.
Okay.
So slightly before that, where the Blackstone,
Tri-River area?
yeah, that's right. So the river is just before that,
I certainly
Like
know
the
what West
walking
Hill Dam
path?
is.
yeah, and you've got the, open space, passive recreation areas there, and then you go to the intersection, and then there's the medical building, but
Yeah.
behind that is the
The walking
center.
path that I walk my dogs down.
Yeah,
Oh,
that,
yeah. And I've ridden bikes on that.
that's
Yeah.
the Heritage Center, and there's actually rangers
Okay.
full-time there on duty
Okay.
every day.
Yeah, I know what you mean now.
Okay,
So you can go in there and tour it, it's Blackstone,
So the Blackstone Heritage Corridor includes 25 communities.
25.
14 in Massachusetts.
Okay.
11 in Rhode
Oh,
Island.
that's right, right, yeah, okay, yeah. Right. Slatersville and all that's part of it.
Yeah, and actually, believe it or not, Worcester's included.
Yes.
And so is Providence, but like Woonsocket, Smithfield.
It's basically Worcester to Providence,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah. And then the perimeter around it.
So anyway, I would encourage you guys to look at that. I think that link should work for everybody that I forwarded, but.
And if not, it is on the, I've thrown it in the drive. So all the workshops are in
There
the,
forever,
all
yeah.
the workshops are in the drive.
And yeah, there's probably other things that I'm forgetting from it, but anyway, it was very good. And to me, it helped to frame us a little bit more. Like, we've got a lot of buildings that are remodeled, that are like not what they used to be, but it's still, these pieces together, tell the story and.
Right.
Yeah, they're still there. They're still in the place that they were.
Right.
They just may not look exactly
Yeah,
the
and
same,
I
so they're not,
And
you know.
If we can think like 100 years ahead or whatever, right? Or
Yeah.
what's going to be important.
What do you want your community to look like in 100 years?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And what would still tell the story of what happened 100
Which is the way the
years
CPA didn't get put out properly, because
Yeah.
that's what you want to do. You want to leave a legacy. Yeah, I'm going to invest a little bit of money every year, but when I'm gone, my children can still come to this
Yeah.
town and see.
before. By the way,
Feel
with the
welcome.
CPA, we can do that again, right? But not for X number of years.
No, from what I heard, they're going to attempt to push it again in 6 months.
Well, they're going to reconvene in 6 months to discuss if they want to continue it.
Okay.
They didn't decide
But
that
you
they're
need the
going to
state
try again
partnership.
in
I didn't know
6
if the
months.
state partnership expired or.
Not with CPA.
I don't,
think
yeah,
so.
I don't know about that, but they're going to rediscuss in 6 months, so it's not
I think there's
necessarily that
windows
they're
of
going to,
opportunity
you know.
that you have to have it pass, and then, so
Okay.
like the same kind of idea, November to January
Yeah.
application period or whatever, or submittal, but no, it's just, I don't think that's restrictive. It's, if it passes, then it's good for 5 years, and in 5 years, you can.
There's a
town can
timeline once
vote
it passes.
To keep it, or.
Which would have been a really
Not
good point
kidding.
to add.
Right, right.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that can get it together more. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but one of the companies I work for, we do these little videos, and part of it I can do like things for nonprofit stuff for free.
Oh.
And I just feel like
Wow.
a short little video, someone explaining it,
I think you start putting them out there.
but fireworks.
No,
Something to get
Right.
the drone images, I think those are so cool. You
Right.
can do the drone right through your whole district, proposed district, and give people a real, because from that, you get a perspective of the lay of the land,
Yeah.
Those videos in
Yeah,
town,
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
started
I,
Main Street and,
I said, I still make, another issue is there's too much reliance on Facebook for information. We need other avenues.
That's what are you calling the newsletter?
I think Justin wants to go with like the Douglas Mill or something like that.
I like that.
But even still, like, that's still email. When I was at the master plan committee, they were like, well, how do we get the
How do we get the info out?
the survey out? And they talked about Facebook and putting stuff up at the post office and all of this. I'm like, has anybody contacted the Tribune? Nobody had contacted the Tribune or the New Uxbridge
Yeah,
Times or the
yeah.
Valley Express.
Yeah.
Like, I almost feel like we're so reliant on,
no, I believe
I think we're so
hard-written
reliant-
material is good.
I think we're so reliant on this now, we
Yeah.
forget that there's other avenues
Yeah.
to explore.
Right, right.
Well, I mean, we should start getting, even if it's preliminary, this information that we, what the project is all about,
So
a story in the Tribune.
for the library, I had actually done up, I think I showed them to you at one point. I had actually done like a three-part, like what's a historic district, and I talked about like what the different types of districts and what we were looking to do. Like I had done a lot of like the original write-ups on them. So they kind of already exist if we can just figure out a different way to, because I mean, they're newsletter write-ups, so they're long, not something you would really put in a newspaper. Or
Yeah.
unless you could get a newspaper to agree to do like a three-part series.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the best, because then you got people going, oh, I want to see the next one, I want to see the next one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so I had,
I mean, the Blackstone Valley Tribune, I feel like, going off of what you said, like, to say, okay, well, Douglas is trying this, but there's the whole Blackstone Valley,
Yeah,
that might be a way
yeah.
to present it where it might stick with
Yeah,
them.
and we don't want to be the ones that come in from lessons learned at the last minute.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
and I think, is Uxbridge the one that got the actual local district pass? One of them
How do you
actually,
find that? I don't know how you find that.
I thought I saw it in like the Express or the
That was
New
one of the-
Uxbridge Times.
One of the earlier MHC presentations and was talking about, like, there's something you can get on that's, where you're more favored, like you're on the top list for certain grants and stuff.
Oh.
There's a name for it, but the unfortunate part is, like, you have to have a local community, you have to have a local preservation district.
Oh.
In other words, again, like, if the town has an appetite for preservation, then you're at the top of the list, and they're actually also more, the MHC is more welcoming to the, I don't know if we're considered Western Mass, but the western towns don't have many historic districts compared to the Boston area, for a lot of reasons.
But the problem is the second you go local, you're putting restrictions on people.
And I don't think people would,
And
Yes,
Douglas
basically.
Douglas tried in 1989, I believe, and it got shut down horrible in 89. I think it would get shut down even more
Yeah.
today.
judging on the way the CPA went, I'm going to say it would-
Yeah.
a local district would not
Exactly.
pass.
All the elections.
Yeah, which I mean, it's not great. It would be great if we could actually get it, but yeah, I don't think a local district would
It's not going to fly right now.
would fly in this town, to be perfectly honest.
Right.
But I think that if you show it's got to be something to show positive result from all this effort.
Right.
So that you can drive down the street and say, like, 'cause I do that in Mendon all the time. I have to drive through Mendon Center to get to my office. And they got so many projects going on, and it's CPA consultant, sadly. But it looks great. I mean, it's
Yeah,
like,
Mendon's beautiful.
the downtown is just like coming back.
Yeah.
Well, so it's funny, one of the things that kept coming up at the workshop was that downtown looks run down and people wish there were more,
Yeah.
more flower, like, not even necessarily the
Yeah.
buildings, but
Right.
just like,
Aesthetics.
yeah, but then you go up to the Common, and what the Common Preservation Society has done is, like, literally drive by it twice a day,
Yeah,
and
it's amazing.
it always looks beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're very active.
true.
They were out there yesterday, all day. I think it was
Yeah.
yesterday, but,
Putting the reindeer up.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, in the rain.
No, 2 days ago, they were out there then.
But I agree, and it could be as simple as, like Mendon kind of started with the veterans flags, as you go down the
Yeah.
street.
Like hometown.
That was like the first thing, like bringing people as a community,
Yeah.
look at our vets, you know what I mean? And it might have been something simple, but it kind of gets you in the feeling of like, this is a cool little town. That's what
Yeah.
you got to get out there, is that Douglas is a cool little town.
And I think if you started doing that kind of stuff, buildings would start to keep up, because they would be like,
Yeah, that's right.
I feel like it's uneven. You'll get some beautiful old brick buildings that look great and some that need
Yeah.
some paint and signs and whatever else like that.
Well, because eventually what she just said too is like, it encourages those owners, oh, you know what?
Yeah.
It's looking pretty good around here, look at
Yeah,
mine,
it's so
so
beautiful.
it may be or maybe not.
but then you also have to look at like different things, like the Goodness Store. I'm pretty sure once Joyce and Joey are done, I don't think that's going to remain. I don't think any of the kids are going to take it over. Huh?
So that's so sad.
So, I mean, they're not going to put a ton of money into that building at this point in their lives,
Yeah.
knowing that it's not going to probably be passed.
Yeah.
It's assumption, but, it's like, you've also got to wonder that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
and so what will happen to it, being that it's the longest running
Yeah.
business
Well,
in town?
But you know what I'm saying? Like, so you've got buildings like that, well, what's going to happen? They're not going to put the money in regardless of, because they're not going to be staying.
They're not the worst.
No, but I'm using that as an example.
Right. Well, eventually, yeah, someone who's. Yeah.
Like people who aren't looking long-term. So my uncle lives in the yellow house across from the Extra Mart. He plans eventually selling that property off to probably who owns the Grill on Main, who owns that building. That'll be torn down for parking most likely.
Yeah.
Because technically part of it is leased to my uncle. Like I think it was one of those weird like property leases that they did. So he's not going to put money into like fixing up the building, knowing that he's already 75, knowing he's not going to.
Yeah.
So you also run into those types of issues where like the buildings are aging owners
I
and
guess
stuff.
the whole thing is like, so it always comes down to money, right? Like, how much is this gonna cost us and whatever. What I'm having a hard time, pre-anticipating what people are gonna say, like, how does, like, if they're gonna spend $30,000 on the downtown district or the community preservation or whatever, like, what does that get them? I think we can give some examples, like, of what's happening in Mendon. This district that we've been working on, we need to figure out, like, how that benefits people. You know, you sort of need to get
Right.
the signs as part of it, I think, because otherwise it's.
To me, the long term is it improves property values, which helps people.
Yeah, that's
you
a
know?
huge thing.
I don't want to drive anybody else that you know, can't afford it. Certainly, that's not the goal.
Right.
But it's certainly going to help them in the regard that it's improving property value. So, you know, in Upton, you have the triangle. And then what becomes is you want to live in the triangle because that's proximity to schools. It's walking distance to schools. It's walking distance to town, the post office, town hall, et cetera. So you have that here. You have a triangle.
Right.
And if you become known as, I have a property in the triangle, that's how the realtors advertise it, you know, so the values go up.
Or more of a starfighter, I think it was.
Yeah, it is.
Wait, actually, it's more of the
We have
starfighter, just
Starfighter.
saying we're the starfighter, not really the triangle.
I like that. Yeah.
So something else that kept coming up is people wanted a river walk. So
Yeah.
they were actually talking like doing
That would definitely bring it down.
not the B Street side of the Mumford, but the Main Street side of the Mumford.
Yeah.
Seeing if they could put a river walk there. Well, if we're on the National Register, there's a chance that it could help with funding and that
Absolutely.
kind of stuff.
Yes.
Being National Register could help town funding
Yep.
in the district.
Yep, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
You know,
And that's also something we might want to bring up with the community center. Community Rec Youth Center is technically that building's on the National Register.
Yeah.
That means that there's a possibility for grant funding.
Right.
right, so you have and you have a connection point, so you have you know, you have a place, you don't need a lot of parking, but you do need parking.
I think, well, because
Right.
really it's going to be more like, it's going to be more kids being dropped off there than it is going to be like,
Or someplace, it's not like a railway, so it's not super long to go for a bike ride, but it's nice to go, you can go
You
from
never have enough.
one street up on a walkway, or whatever you call it,
Right.
path, and then comes out another street.
and that was something else. Parking was something that's desperately needed in
Yeah.
town. But once again, center of town space is a premium.
Yeah.
Yeah, parking
That-
is definitely an issue.
Because it's in the Starfighter.
Well, yeah,
But that's the problem, like, this was the problem with the library.
Yeah.
Everything is already an established footprint.
Yeah.
There's no places to really add footprints in downtown Douglas.
Right.
Really, the only place that you could even consider, and it would be a day parking situation, and you'd have to get an agreement with the little, where the Grill on Main is. That's one of the only places where there's even parking.
Yeah.
Well, that and like Webster First and.
But Webster
There's-
First is open during the day.
such
Right.
Where
small
the-
lots, though, yeah, you
Yeah.
can't interrupt
Where
your
the
business.
Grill on Main tends to be more of a nighttime thing, so you
Yeah.
But
could,
still, it's so small.
and then,
Right.
In the back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
it
hard,
feels-
yeah, I feel like
And it's
that's a
very-
hard place to park
It's very
too.
awkward coming in and,
but
Yeah,
Coming in and out,
I
yeah.
feel like
But
that.
like I said, but this would be stuff that would be
Car bottom.
discussed,
Yeah, no,
this would be the stuff that would be discussed
Yeah.
and
Don't bring your
we
GoPro
figured out how
town
to do
needs
it.
public parking, there's no doubt about it. Like, I don't know what's behind, next to the school, to the right of the,
Well, Unibank also bought that lot next to them,
Yeah.
right, where
Yeah. That house
little
got
white
torn
house
down.
got torn
there's
down.
quite a bit there,
So
actually.
I wonder, I know Unibank in Waynesville has public parking
Well, that's kind of what I
behind there.
was, well, that's what I was
So I
thinking of
wonder
when I
if
said the
that
grill on.
Unibank would be willing to,
That'd be great.
use that for parking, because I know they bought it,
Yeah, for Oktoberfest, all the people that walk down the
Right.
hill and use the
Yeah.
ball field.
right?
And I mean,
I mean, that would be an ideal place,
you've got
close to
the,
downtown.
you've got the lot between Jackman's and the old Hunt
Yeah,
House.
yeah,
Like, and I mean, it's up, when there's a funeral, that lot gets,
yeah,
good luck.
Yeah.
yeah.
But I mean,
But still, it's got
We
to
have
be on
clients that
the
have a hard time parking at the spot.
long-range
People
planning.
park back
It's a
there.
priority. you know.
Right.
Because there's
Yeah.
2 apartments there,
yeah,
or 3 apartments now. So they have the people that park on the side, then tenants that park in the back, and then when we have clients at the spa, sometimes it's like
Yeah.
impossible.
like I said, just like I said, looking at, that's one of the problems that town is going to constantly run into, though, is we don't have the footprint for parking.
Yep,
The second you get out of the center, second you get out of downtown, you're fine with parking.
Yeah, because we've got a lot of land, just
The problem,
not in the center.
not downtown.
Yeah, there's some, I mean, I don't know, there's like little, none of it's centralized, it's like little bits here and there.
That would be the thing, you would have a lot of little lots.
Yeah,
It's almost like going like to the
And then
Biggie or
something-
something where you park in all the little lot, like all the like
Yeah.
store lots.
or, right, yeah, I don't know if there's a way around that. Well, probably should move on, right?
Yep, okay, so
Where were,
on to the actual submission. So,
okay.
minus the photo numbers, the A-form inventory is completed.
Beautiful.
Oh, my gosh. Look at that. Your house is the first one on there.
Sorry, this is 2 A Street, what an address.
Right. Thank you.
Often
Nice.
confused with C Street.
That's right. Get my packages all the time.
Which
I don't know how that happens, people are learning their alphabet
A
still.
Street used to be Cross Street.
Right. I used to be the corner of Cross and Grove. Now I'm the corner of A and Cemetery.
And B Street was Mumford Street.
Wow.
And C Street, I think, also had a name.
Maybe
Maple
that's
Street.
why it's not a,
I'd like to know how it changed to A, B, and C and where
Yeah.
how they got that
Justification.
pattern, because they're not really like in a row. Like,
Maybe we should offer naming rights
just a
to
little,
streets.
just a little curious,
Hi, we'll give you money. We'll give you a street name if you give us lots of money.
Yeah.
I told you in Upton, that's the way it's set up. It's a bylaw. And that the list is generated by the Historic Commission. Okay? And then when the developer comes in, they can go through, so you don't have Jimbo Drive.
Yeah.
His third great-grandson,
This
who
is good.
nobody knows in town.
That looks
It's a
good.
list of historic or significant, there's a reason for the names, and they have to pick from a list.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's been like that for 50, no, probably 30 years.
That's in Upton?
Yeah.
So Jefferson Drive in town
That weird spelling?
is a
But
weird
that's-
spelling because that's the.
That's what his name was. yeah.
It was the Jefferson Inn, and that's how it was spelled.
Yeah.
the
And they
PH.
owned that property. That was Jefferson property, if you go to the old records. Yeah.
So, but there's no money involved in that Upton?
No.
They did it way years
No, they
ago.
just created, they went to the public safety
Yeah.
and the highway to make sure that there was no conflicts with names, because you don't want to have,
Yeah,
symbol
Main
of-
Ave and Main Street or.
911 took care of a lot of that, because that you can't have 2 cross streets in a town. You can't, like,
Yeah.
that's what happened.
And it's funny because we do have a Cross and Grove in a different part of town, and A and Cemetery used to be Cross and Grove, so it's
Yeah,
like
with
been
911 they had to
replaced, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Like Northbridge had 3 church streets,
So
not connected.
Right, because they had Church Ave,
It
and
was
then
by
they have.
village.
Yeah.
I bet you a
right.
lot of everything probably got official in 87 when they added the street numbers. I bet you that's when everything
They
became,
cleaned it up, yeah.
they cleaned everything. 1987 is when you got street numbers. Before then, there were no house had street numbers. You might have had a postal route number, which was different than a street number.
Oh,
So all the houses were known by historic names, whether it was who.
Jim Porter's house.
Yep,
Yep.
or who lived there, which,
Yeah,
like I said, I mean, the Bilodeau house.
Yeah.
To me, that's the cave house, because
Yeah.
Sue and Dave Cave lived there when I was growing
Right.
up.
Yeah.
So for my entire life, that will be the name of that house. There would be
In the
another,
70s, I used to listen to the scanner for Douglas, even though I was in Upton, and it would be, down by so-and-so's house. That's where the call
yeah.
was.
Oh
It was,
my
all
God.
yeah.
which I think is one of the reasons I'm good at this, because I've lived in town, so I, like,
Yeah.
like, that's how we got around. Like, it's like, oh, we're going to so-and-so's house. I'm like, okay, so if it's by this house, I'm good. And now, here are two other things that I created in the drive. And they're,
Oh, I see, to reference.
yeah, and they're both in the Project Downtown Douglas, the 2023 project folder.
Okay. Okay, then we would just check off when each of these things.
Yep, and it's under the tasks and citations.
Okay.
They're both in the same Excel spreadsheet
Okay,
with their own tabs.
got it. What's the name, so property tax, sorry, I can't say it, task list, and what's the other one?
Citations. Yep, so the task list and the citation list.
Okay.
so just a quick question on the Cs and the R on the year built. What's a
Circa,
C and what's an R?
C is circa.
Does that mean not exact? Is
Yeah,
that
it's, yeah,
stated?
it's
Okay.
around. Oh, what do they, what does?
And capital R.
Renovation? Is it a renovation?
No, I don't think it is.
Sorry I asked, I was
No,
just curious.
No,
Well, there was one that was something to do with the assessor's record versus the,
Right,
right? The actual date
yeah,
is one thing, but in the assessors, it's 18, there's a lot of, like, when
Right.
realtors put up a house, they'll put 1880.
right, because
There's
mine
no
on
built
the,
in-
mine on the assessor is
Oh, range.
1800.
Range.
And,
Range. There you go.
right, range, okay.
Yeah.
So-
Circa and range.
Yeah.
So my addition was done in technically, we got the move-in permit in 2023. The first tax bill I'm getting for it is going to be in 2025. So now imagine it was a new build. It would be done in 2023,
Right.
but the assessor's not hitting you for it till 2025.
Yep.
So in the assessor's office, the date is 2025,
Right.
where your bill date is 2023.
Or even before, that's up to you.
Right,
You're on track.
Yeah, but that's how, and then the other problem you run into is you'll have properties where, like, they've kept a cornerstone and knocked down the rest of the house and then built around that cornerstone.
That's my house.
And people are like, well, that cornerstone's from 1830, so my house was built in 1830. Yeah, but you knocked it all down and put up a new one in 1985. Your house is really 1985. Nope, that cornerstone is 1830.
Yeah, that's tough.
but with mine, one section
Yours
is
is-
older, so the older section is 1800, and the newer section is 1872. So it says 1860 on there, but it's kind of like,
Your
In the
house,
middle.
we don't pay attention to your house. Your house can, your house is a horse of its own color.
right?
So the inventory form and the, well, they're both inventory forms. Form A. Chicago style? Is that the only difference?
Okay, so one is if you're doing a citation. The landscape form is if you're doing a citation. Oh, you weren't, sorry. Per the MHC, anytime we grab anything off of a website, we have to cite it exactly as it was done on the website.
Time and everything, right?
Yeah, so that, the citation form is so that when you,
Keep track of.
yeah, you do something, you just pull that information, throw it in the web, throw it on that sheet, and I've got the citation right there if I need it.
So the only thing with that one is we might need more than one citation.
So you just add a,
Just add the cell.
no, just, yeah.
a line.
Add a line, make sure you put the property,
Okay,
and just add the new citation underneath it.
okay.
Because citations are, like I said, the citations are the part I am dreading. I'm dreading the citations because especially once we start dealing with like, every time we access Macris, guess what?
It's a new
Access on blah, blah
citation.
date.
That's the citation.
Yeah,
Every time we access Macris, every time we access the assessor site, that's the citation.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying, like, so that's why we've got that sheet, because otherwise I don't know how else to do it.
Yeah,
No, I think that's great.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what that sheet is. Then the task sheet, that is breaking down the different things. The style, I can actually mark all of those off because you took care of them.
Yeah.
The styles are done. Then the big ones are the architectural description and the historical narrative. Now, I did not print off the historical narrative because it was 84 pages.
You know, that just reminded me of one other thing that came up in the last MHC talk that they gave, what I was just talking about this week. And when you look at we had done the B forms, we've done forever for the buildings. And they kept saying in this thing, well, you need a survey, you need a survey. I'm like, well, we have the survey. It's older, but we have it. And some of them on the last page, they'll say recommended to the National Register of Historic
Right.
Places. So I think we probably have a few of those, like you know, public buildings downtown probably have that written in them. So that's, I don't know, just especially.
Give me a property to look at.
Well, probably the library,
Okay.
and the Jenks store is already listed
Yeah.
as a historic
So
property.
290 Main. So the great thing about Macris is Macris has the original B forms from the building report attached to them.
Now, that will not go away when we do a new district, will it?
No.
The information on Macris. Okay, good.
No.
I just wanted to make sure of that because I was like, it's pretty, it gives a pretty extensive
Right.
details on a lot of those places, so.
So so the library does actually have an MHC opinion, eligibility for a national
Oh, good.
register.
Okay.
That one does. Let's see, the Wickstead building is 331. No, that's the town hall. But you know what? That's still a good one to check.
Yeah.
What's that, the post office?
Yeah, sorry. Does not actually have one attached to it.
Okay.
So yeah, like I said, Macris, we can pull a lot. We could also technically use the Belding report.
Because we have a printed copy.
We have a printed copy. The problem is the Belding report is horribly organized in the binding.
How's it organized?
But you would think alphabetical and then
Yeah.
by number, but that's not always the case.
By neighborhood?
It jumps in some areas.
Yeah.
So it's got good information, but,
And you can't search because it's printed? Okay.
so, I mean, it's one of those where we could kind of juggle between the two.
Yeah.
I just think Macris is easier to use, and then I'm not trying to lug a big book to the printer
Right.
and do that kind of stuff, so I automatically gravitate towards Macris
Yeah.
over the Belding report. But we do have the Belding report. just not having page numbers and that kind of stuff, citing will be a different, I'll have to actually contact them and figure out like how they would want us to cite it, how they
Yeah.
would want us to handle
And
things.
On that note, and the earlier MHC thing that was like, also like keeping in communication with them. So I think we need to decide too, like what stage we get to and then talk to, what's his name at MHC?
It's not Ben, it's Peter.
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 Peter's the other guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now we're at the point where I've pulled all of the historical narratives from March, the 1959 version.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yep, like I said, that was 83 pages, so I wasn't printing it. There were some properties that were missing. Some properties I had to pull from the building work, and some properties were non-contributing, so I didn't bother pulling them at all. Just an example of a description. The Charles Mercier house, now Anthony Russo's, formerly Hayward's, was once a small house which was enlarged by Charles Mercier in 1872. At first he ran a bake shop and later a saloon here. Mercier played a prominent part in town politics, being a Democrat. He died in Woonsocket, Rhode Island in 1920, aged 80 years. According to tradition, dances used to be held here. A legend has it there was once an underground tunnel here where liquor was hidden in no licensed days. The original small house was owned by James Wickstead Sr. and was called the Albee Twin House. It was once Dr. Albee's houses. It was once one of Dr. Albee's houses, sorry. Wickstead owned it in 1870. Mercier's heirs sold it to the Hayward Woolen Company as a tenement house. They sold it to the Russos. So that's an example of a March description on a house.
Yeah.
And that's actually a very, excuse me, that's a very detailed description.
Yeah.
We have,
So,
we have other
Which makes me
ones.
think of what the MHC was saying. So what you just read is mostly locally important, not nationally important. So like Wickstead, because they had the mill, is important to the national history, but that's a question for the MHC. When you get into detail like that, do we put that in there? Because people in Douglas might care about that, but not nationally.
And then another question, the horse of a different color house. Does that fall under historical narrative? Or do we want that one falling under architectural narrative? Because remember, the Lennox, was it Lennox? I think it was the Lennox
Yeah.
example. They listed almost all of their properties, but they put some in the historical narrative and they put other in the architectural narrative.
Okay.
So that's the other thing we've got to determine when we're doing this, whether we want this house to fall under this narrative or under that narrative.
I thought we had to have both, though.
You have to have both in your form.
Well,
But-
because architecturally, it's
But if
like,
we included all the properties in each, it would be.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
what they would do
That would
is
be
they would,
Okay, now I remember.
they would talk
a
about
long
some and they would make it, they would make it part of the architectural narrative.
Yeah.
And then others they would put in the historical narrative.
Gotcha.
Now, there might be a couple of properties where they belong in both.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then we put them in, you don't need to do the long description. But that's the other game we have to play, like, what does this actually fall under? Where is it most important?
and if you want to further complicate things, the deed to that house was originally in Charles' wife's name, so.
Oh, jeez.
So is
It should be the Philomene Mercier house, if anyone's wondering.
Where is located the definition of those two categories? Like, what is the actual?
So the sheet I gave you when you first came in,
Yeah, okay.
do you have that?
Yep.
If you actually go to the last page, it actually is what the Form A is, and it tells you on the back side of Form A what both historical and architectural narratives are.
Okay. Well, that's pretty brief. If I can see it. Explain historical development of the area, discuss.
Want to read it out loud?
So architectural description. Describe architectural, structural, and landscape features and evaluate in terms of other areas within the community. Architectural description. describe architectural, structural, and landscape features, and evaluate in terms of other areas within the community.
It's interesting that it like wants you to link to other parts of the community, which is good for what we're doing too, because it's all, interrelated.
And historical narrative. Explain historical development of the area.
So
Discuss,
it's more general.
yeah, how this relates to the historical development of the community.
So a good example of what would fall under the historical narrative, the four houses on North Street, 31 through 37. Their architectural isn't, I don't think is important, is the fact that they were mill housing.
Right.
Right next to the mill, still within walking distance of the Schuster Mill, like, to me, those would fall under the historical narrative.
So for,
I think we're gonna have way more in historical, because a
Oh.
lot of the buildings, the architecture is not
So-
great.
so I missed the point, was, does every entry have to have,
One or both of those?
So Lennox, is it Lennox?
Yes, it's Lennox.
It is Lennox. And apparently I've got like this huge,
I thought I just saw the header, no?
no, huge hole in it. I don't know. I have a huge hole in it. Okay, so architectural starts on page 1 and goes to page 15 with this much on page 16.
Okay.
Historical narrative goes from page 16 to page 42.
So much more historical, which
Yeah.
I would imagine we won't be that long.
so can you cut and paste?
Oh, there's going to be a lot of cutting and pasting. Then, bear with me 1 second. I have way too many things here. So Lennox had 277 contributing properties.
So,
They're
Using
almost equal to what we're looking at. Like they're on par with us.
Yeah.
so using the Mercier
Yeah.
house, for example, it definitely needs both of them, because architecturally, it changed as times
Change.
needed for it to change, and that has to be shown, but historically,
It also has significance.
it has significance, where the house next door may have just always been housing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So like I said, but that's where we're at now is, so
Deciding what goes where.
we've got a, we've got a basis for the historical descriptions
Yeah.
pulled from Marsh. Can add to them from other sources, Belding and that is, we need to. But we have the basis for the historical. Now we need to figure out the basis for the architectural.
Okay.
Now, do you have the purple sheet over there?
no purple here, well, I don't know if purple, but I have these three.
I will pass them back around.
Let's see here.
I didn't see any,
Oh, yeah, light purple.
am I colorblind?
It could be blue. Okay, so the good news is, sorry, I've got way too much information. Of our 250 properties,
It was like an even number, right? of contributing.
yes, of our 250 properties, 250 minus 22.
22 are not contributing?
22 are not contributing.
Great.
So what,
Good job, everybody.
so that gives us what, 220? 28? Macris has 173 of those properties.
Oh,
That's huge.
Yeah.
oh, it is, okay, good.
I mean, that gives us, what?
It's like, how are we gonna find those others?
50, 60. I mean, if you look at like the greater scheme of things.
So is there a way for you to break those out and put them on a separate sheet so that we can, do we need to study them? Is that what we need? No?
Well, so what I think what we would need to do, where Macris is concerned for the,
I just want to say one thing while you're looking for that. So for people who weren't involved from the beginning, like, first we were doing all these B forms for every single property, and now we're finding out we need the A form, which is the area form, as you know, for the whole district.
So this
we
is-
don't need to do every little one, we just need to more.
So
pull out
this
the
is a
ones
B
that are
form,
important. We don't need to find
and this is what the front page looked
other
like.
whatever it doesn't.
But then on the back page, it had architectural significance and historical significance. So of those 250, we have 173 where we already have architectural
information.
information. The problem is, this is architectural information from 1989.
Yeah.
Things have been renovated.
Things have been renovated.
Yeah.
So it's, I think, the other thing, which I really apologize, everybody, the B forms that are on Macris are PDF.
Not copy and pastable.
But you can convert those, I mean, I have,
I don't know how well they're going to convert.
yeah.
That's the problem. This is what they look like. Oh, you
You
can.
can copy.
Oh, there you go.
I didn't think,
All right, look, we're
ooh,
getting
I
all
didn't think we
kinds of stuff
could.
done.
Yeah.
Right?
A finger.
Life
Kinda
just
like it in
became
that font,
easier.
that
Thank you,
old
Christine.
typewriter font. We should try to find
So
that.
I actually, God, I'm such a geek. I actually have a lot of these B forms already downloaded on my work computer.
Okay.
So what I can always do is I can put these B forms into different folders on the drive, and everybody could just take them and start putting them into, like how I did the historical narrative, we could start putting the architectural into
Into the right format, you mean?
one of these. It literally is just the property with the marsh description.
Okay.
So you
Just
would-
copying, pasting it all
Yeah.
over, and then, like, then we could
So you would,
read from there?
yeah, so you would put Belding, and then all of the B forms have what they call the MHC numbers, which is like DOU.301. So you would do Belding DOU.301 1989.
Okay. And that's all in the drive?
It will be in the drive.
Okay.
They're on my desktop at work, so I have
Okay.
to put them into the drive. So what we could do is everybody could take streets, do the copy and pasting to put the historical narratives
Okay. We
in.
could keep the same streets we had before.
And like I said, you don't need to worry about the historical because 90% of the historical narratives came from Marsh.
We don't, okay.
So when you're looking at the B form, you only need to worry about the architectural significance.
Okay.
You don't need to worry about the second paragraph because I've already done the second paragraph.
Oh, right, because you've already done historical. Oh, okay.
Because all of these come basically from Marsh. So I already pulled all of them from Marsh.
Okay.
So now it's just everybody pulling the
So there's a-
architectural
Yeah.
significance.
So there's a two-step process, like we need to copy it from,
The B form.
no, okay, maybe you should say it.
So I would create a single document that has all of the properties listed. You would have to copy the architectural significance from the B form and put it into the document that I create.
Okay.
Saying what the form number is. Just
Yeah, because we need to make sure, so we go to two forms, like we copy it from there into that main form, but then we also need to make sure we give the citation to the other form.
No, don't worry about the citation on the other form.
Okay.
Because you're going to put Belding, DOU.
It's all going to be the same thing?
Yep.
Okay.
And then we would have basically two documents, one full of historical narratives and one full of architectural narratives.
Okay.
And then from having those two, we'll be able to figure out where our holes are.
Okay. Okay. So, all right, that sounds like it makes sense.
So like I said, at this point, it's me getting, like I said, I've got most of these B forms already on my desktop. So it's getting the B forms onto the drive so everybody can access them, rather than everybody having to play the Macris game. Because unfortunately, every time you want to look at a B form, it's got to be downloaded.
Oh,
Yeah, it doesn't let you just like view it, it's got to be downloaded. So the next thing you know, you've got 50 different B forms on your computer.
Yeah.
I know this because I've
Been there.
Been there, done that, wrote the book on it. Which is why I have most of the B forms on my computer now, because I've downloaded them so many times. So like I said, at this point, it's breaking out who's gonna do what streets.
Okay. Well, you've got all the streets. Do we want to do that now? You've got all the streets listed there. Is anyone running short on time? So it's
I'm getting
2
there.
hours.
Yeah, me too.
I have an 11 o'clock,
Yeah.
Yep.
but I can, I mean, it's not exact at 11, it's at my call, but
Same with me. I have stuff I have to go do, but there's no exact time.
yeah. Well, no, I have an 11 o'clock at Millbury, but
Just trying to see
it's
if we
flexible.
had. I was trying to see if we had breakdowns from past.
I did have the breakdown. I have it at home, though. I can just
Well,
email that to everybody.
No,
Sure.
it's different. It's from when it was a different group of us.
Oh, I just meant that.
She's talking about the.
The roads that we take.
Those,
But we didn't have all the roads on there because I had already done some of the research. Not all the roads were on that.
Okay.
The picture form you're talking about?
No, no. We can just do that by email.
Yeah,
Because this,
just let me know what streets you want me to do.
this is what we had done.
No, the one we
when-
just did when
yeah,
The
most
picture, the
recent one when
pictures.
we were
David
doing,
wasn't a part of it.
The
when we were
picture.
Yeah, the
doing like
photos.
The photos, but the
virtual
problem is a
walk.
bunch of the,
Yes.
we had a bunch of those had already been done. That's the problem.
Oh.
So it wasn't the full list.
Yeah.
It was pieces of.
Yeah, as long as we break that, the full list out, like we each get 4 pages or whatever, I think we'll be fine. Out of looking at, well, either way.
Yeah.
so since it's architectural, and we're going to be assessing, what if my opinion architecturally is not the same as yours, or, I mean, I don't.
Well,
Oh,
Right.
we're not doing that at that point. I put in the styles.
based on a combination of Macris, Assessor, Belding, David.
Yeah, and just general knowledge and looking things up in books.
Yeah, she came to the library and left with a stack of
wow.
architecture books like this big. Honestly, this is one of the things we need to poke the MHC about. Historical narrative, I'm not worried about our knowledge base. There's plenty of research. So I think what we create for the historical narrative is gonna meet what the MHC wants. I think when it comes to the architectural narrative and knowledge, we kind of go based on what we've got here, maybe with some updated if we've got some knowledge, and be like, is this what we would use a consultant for? Is this what the
Yeah.
consultant is made
So
to,
we primarily, what you're saying is,
we're drafting.
but we're also taking consideration since 1989 changes. Is that what we're
Yeah.
doing, really?
I think
Because like
it's,
if there's a building that was as built, 1880, in 1989, and in those records, but since then has had a fire and had to be changed to a different architectural, whatever it is.
yeah, so
Is that what we're doing?
I think,
So we
yeah.
have to look at the old record?
I think at this point, we're best just getting the architectural narratives that we have down on paper. And then once we've got them
Yeah.
all on paper, then we look and be like, okay, has
We
this
know
one?
this one has changed. When we started doing this 10 years ago, it was surprising that not that much had changed like you'd think. But I think we all kind of know, like, you know, the building that Unibank tore down, the change with the real estate office downtown, the building on the street that burned. So there's, you know, it's relatively small number. So I
Okay.
think we kind of take those individually at the end.
I think at this point, it's just getting the
Just
information.
getting the information over,
Yeah.
okay. But how do we help with that?
So we're basically cutting and pasting,
Oh, okay.
and I'll figure
Yeah.
out.
March wasn't bad for me because I was just able to take his whole work and split it up. This would take me much longer than March because there's no way I could bounce around 173 properties quickly.
Yeah.
It ends up
I think we'll
being,
probably just split it up the same way we did for the photos, and I'll get that info.
so this ends up being 11.
Well, what she's saying is that we only had to do so many off of the list. We didn't have to do the whole list.
Right.
At that point,
Yeah.
But now we have to do the whole list.
So,
Yeah, I still have it, well, I'll just
this
make sure
is-
it's even, because I've got the whole property list.
so this is 10 pages here. So
Should we just take two?
the problem is when you get to the last page, Northeast Maine ends up, it's really more like 9 pages, 9 and a little bit extra on the pages.
Yeah, that's okay.
So, yeah, it would be everybody kind of,
So you want to just read them off?
well, the other problem is the pages just, they don't go,
They're not even.
yeah,
I don't
like,
think we need to be perfectly even,
well,
though.
no, I didn't mean they're not even like, B Street,
Yeah.
Oh, it goes
like
part
Cook-
into the
Yeah.
next.
yeah, that's what
Here,
I,
I can do it real quick.
that's what I meant, like,
Person 1 gets A Street through Charles Street. And then the next person gets Cook Street through
oh, see, like,
18 Gilboa.
yeah, like I said, that's one of those ones where you get really like,
And the next is 19 Gilboa. I'm gonna have to split up Main Street.
Yeah.
283 Main.
that's what I meant, like, it's not a, it's
Yeah.
not a straight,
Main and Gilboa, there's no way to
No
not
big deal.
split those up.
yeah,
And the next one will go through Mechanic Street. And then North Street
to Yacino.
to Yacino. Okay,
Draw straws.
So
yeah.
who wants to do what?
Shortest.
I'll do A through Charles. I'll volunteer.
You really? Okay,
Sure. Unless someone else wants that.
No.
I don't,
I'll turn around the road.
just taking my neighborhood, that's all.
Right.
Although it's also Dawn's neighborhood. 'cause
And
she's
mine.
And yours. We're going to have to fight over it. The three of us.
Sarah, you've got A to Charles, Scott
Okay.
Cook to 18 Gilboa, Christie 19 Gilboa to 283 Main. I have 284 Main to Mechanic, and Becky has North to UC. Okay. I'll email that.
Sounds good.
And I will update the property task list to include whether or not it is contributing or non-contributing.
Okay.
Because if it's non-contributing, there's no point in looking at it.
Okay.
Okay,
That's
right.
important.
Good point.
Well, then, right?
Yep.
Agree.
Now, you find that in the drive?
Yes, I will, once I've got the B forms downloaded, and I've got them in the drive, I will send everybody a link to the B form as well as to
Oh,
the
perfect.
Yeah,
task
once you've
form.
got it.
Oh, perfect.
Just be careful, we've got C for Circa, and then so maybe it's just NC for not contributing. I just don't want to have two Cs and then we don't know what's what.
Oh, it'll be a separate.
different column.
I'll put it in front of the street number.
Okay.
Where it just, right there, so the first thing you see, you'll know whether it's contributing or not
Yeah. You
contributing.
can shade it too.
Yeah.
Okay. So once you let us know, we're all gonna just split up our streets and do our copy and paste.
I'll also send
And then-
everybody the link to the historical narrative. That way, if anybody wants to look at the historical narrative, because it's gonna, at this point, we're gonna be having to, once this is done, it's gonna be, now we've gotta look at everything and start figuring out holes and stories.
Yeah. Okay, and then, I don't know, I'm just thinking after, after we do this, that should be a good time to talk to the MHC.
Yeah, because I say we do this, we meet again to kind of,
Make sure it all looks, like maybe on the computer, and we can look at it all. Do you want, we don't really need a Zoom. Can we do that, Sarah? Like, if
Yeah.
we need to get it on the screen?
Oh, yeah. Yep, if we
Project.
have a meeting and we want Zoom, we just have to
Do we
let them
need-
know when we post the agenda,
Oh,
and then Pat
What I
will
meant
set
though
it
is
up.
like if we just wanted to put it on the big screen, is that considered Zoom?
Yeah, it's the easiest way to do it, pretty
Okay.
much, is to do it through Zoom and then just give the person that's sharing the screen share, and it goes up to there. Much easier than trying to like hook your laptop into the,
Okay.
but what we would have to do is
TV.
before that meeting, everybody would have to review everything, because I think where we got stuck on some of them, one of the last meetings, is we didn't really review before, and we
Yeah.
went property by property,
Right.
and we would spend 15 minutes on certain properties.
Right.
And we don't want that to happen. So we kind of, maybe when you're doing your architectural, you're putting it in, you kind of look and be like,
Yeah. Like kind of like homework, you look at it a little bit ahead of time and you have your thoughts together or whatever.
yeah. And if the streets you're doing, then you're going to be a little bit more familiar with it than everybody else. So
Yeah.
you'll have an idea.
And as far as talking to the MHC, I wonder if it ever makes sense to do like a group call or like set up a time. Email him maybe initially first, or I don't know.
My
Just
concern
asking.
with that is like, that's a lot of voices over,
Okay.
voices can get lost unless maybe a Zoom would be a bet, like,
Yeah.
as
We
opposed.
could always have a meeting with Zoom and invite them to Zoom in.
I'm just thinking like, with just an audio, I feel like voices get lost very easy.
Right.
Could
Yeah, Zoom would
definitely
be
do a
better.
Zoom
I
with
have
them.
my own Zoom. Okay. Well, okay, so what, do you guys mind if we try to find a date for the next one?
Sure. How long do we want to give ourselves to do the copy and paste? I don't know how busy everyone else is, but
Yeah.
I would
the
like
holidays
to-
are coming
I was
up.
gonna say, I would like to wait till the first of the,
Yeah.
let's get through the holiday season.
Yeah,
Everybody's
right.
good with
I
that.
was thinking the same thing,
Agreed.
because I will be a lot more freer after that.
Okay.
I'll be a lot more calmer.
So how long do you think it's going to take you to get us prepared to?
I will have it to you before Thanksgiving. I've got 3 days before Thanksgiving
Okay.
that I'm in the library. I can't do anything until I'm at work because everything's on my desktop there.
Okay.
Okay.
So it'll be
so like-
it'll be before Thursday that I should have it to everybody.
So that'll be enough, I mean, if we do first or second week of January, that would be enough time for me. I don't know if everybody else feels about that.
Beep, 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 beep.
That's fine for me. I can do like second week in January.
Okay. So the second week, I'm looking at my month, starts, well, it depends on how you count it, either I guess the week of the 6th.
Yeah.
Sure.
Is Friday?
Friday is a great day for me because I
Yeah.
work 10:30 to 7, Monday through Thursday.
Yeah, so I like Friday too.
I'm a fan of Friday because I don't have to
I like
work.
Fridays,
I don't have to
too.
work
I
with the
barely have
library
any
I
schedule.
try to stay off the road
Yeah.
because people are crazy.
I can swing a Friday,
Okay.
usually, unless,
So January, I don't.
yeah, no, by January I'll be fine. Yeah, Friday's fine. Thinking ahead.
So are we thinking of the 10th?
10th.
Yeah. There's a
January
question
10th.
if I have to be in this group meeting on the 10th, but I'm not gonna let that involve. So right now, is 9 good? Is this 9 slot? good
Sure.
for people?
Yeah.
Love that.
It's fine, yeah.
Okay. All right, so then we'll just do that, and then we'll just, I don't know, we'll set the email.
Yeah.
We'll be on the email.
All right.
All right. Anything else for anybody?
We got new business.
I have nothing.
No, I think we're good.
I've kind of woven mine in through the conversations.
Whatever thoughts, I'll leave them to email. No. Yeah, I think we're good. I think we can adjourn, right?
Yeah,
All
sure.
right. So, does anybody have a motion to adjourn?
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All right. The motion to adjourn the meeting has been approved. Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn the meeting has been approved. Meeting adjourned as 10:54.